Hello, everyone. This year's Sun-Uranus conjunction is going to occur on Victory Day. Victory Day is the closing of the Second World War, at least here in Europe, because of course it went on, for instance, between Japan and the Allied forces. So it ended only by August 6th with the two atomic bombs that were dropped in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. But here in Europe, it ended in May, and the Russian Federation still has big parades commemorating the event. And it will be interesting to see what will happen this year, how Putin is going to show his arsenal or anything. But the fact remains that the Sun-Uranus conjunction falls on this day. It will occur at 20:56 London, so it's at 9 p.m. London time. And Scorpio is rising, and there are some interesting features of this chart. Before we actually look into the chart, let's take a look at Uranus itself. It is the first planet that was discovered after the invention of the telescope. But of course, there were telescopes before they were officially invented in Europe by Galileo and by Kepler. We know that because there are some paintings and reliefs and notes throughout the world where we can see things that would not be possible without a telescope. And also because they found certain interesting looking glasses, pieces of glass that look like lenses. And of course, the historians think that this is not possible, but we know that everything is possible. The problem is that history is written by the victors, and archaeologists usually serve history and historians and certain hidden agendas. Of course, they wherever they find something and if it supports the narrative, then they will talk about it. If it doesn't support the narrative, they will just put it away. A classic example is the so-called breast crosses that were commonly used by the so-called tribes of Hungary that came into Europe in 800 AD. And it shows that we were Christians well before the so-called Judeo-Christian papal religion became prominent in Europe. But of course, the legend goes that our King Saint Stephen converted us from pagans into Christians. This is simply not true. But the narrative supports the historians who want to show us as barbarians. That's it. Anyhow, let's take a look at the Sun-Uranus conjunction. And as I said, Uranus is important because it's the first invisible planet officially spotted with the help of a telescope. And because Uranus is the rebel, it is the anarchist, it denotes things that are disruptive, and it of course also means change and chaos and anarchy and the desire to break free. And the Sun-Uranus conjunction is also a so-called success aspect. Whenever you have this, you could be very successful by either inventing new ways or by reforming things or by just being able to make changes, which is quite important because we usually don't like changes. The older we get, the less we like it. In this chart that was erected for London, asteroid Lilith is on the midheaven, and the Sun-Uranus conjunction is just below the horizon. And if you look at it, the Jupiter-Aries conjunction, which was very prominent in the last couple of weeks, is now really separating. It's still within O because it's like 4 degrees, they are 4 degrees apart, but it is separating. And of course, Aries is drastically altered outward circumstances, and Uranus enlarges everything it touches. Yes, the world is quite chaotic if you look around. Now, quite interestingly, Uranus and Aries are somewhat similar. Uranus is mainly change, but disruption and chaos are also linked to it, but necessary changes as well, and also reforms. While Aries is just disruption. Aries means things change around you and are totally chaotic. So it's different. And the sun highlights Uranus, and Jupiter enlarges this chaotic outward circumstances, that Aries signifies. There's also Venus conjunct the vertex. Vertex means the point where you can't have free will, when things are just happening to you. Venus is certainly, of course, money and also banks. And if you look around in the United States, you can see that there are a lot of bank closures, and bank stocks are falling 30%, 40%. They needed to stop. At least this happened last week. Let's see how this will continue. But maybe it will continue in England as well. And there is a midpoint structure involving retrograde Mercury conjunct Astrea, which means that you can actually break old embedded karma if you go in and think and ponder about that stuff. And this conjunction is on the North Node Vesta midpoint, and Vesta means the focusing principle, and the North Node is our duty, our task, our chosen destiny. In this moment in time. And it is in Taurus, signifying the need to look at our finances, our well-being, our harmony, and to create the necessary circumstances for us to survive, really. And the midpoint structure actually allows us to think long-term and make long-term changes in order to have this security or financial well-being that has been taken away from us since the COVID. And slowly but surely, they are just implementing things that are taking away stuff that we used to like. And the problem is that the young people are totally brainwashed. They do believe in shared economy. They don't want to own anything. They think that they can actually save the planet by not owning a car and by sharing things. And this is communism. This is called communism. And your king, dear English fellow man, you just crowned a king who is a big, avid supporter of the World Economic Forum and this new deal and new whatever global reset. He is the king of global reset. So it will be interesting to see his reign. Anyhow, we have a sailboat linked to the Sun-Uranus conjunction. And actually this sailboat is done by a fixed air engine and a mini engine. The fixed air engine is quite powerful because it has the Sun-Uranus conjunction square. Hygeia is the asteroid that is trying to create safe and sacred spaces. Our word hygiene comes from her name, and it denotes the need to create sacred and safe spaces. But of course, the disruption caused by Uranus is actually clashing with it. And the trine is made by Hygeia and Dark Moon Lilith. Dark Moon Lilith is the second turning point of the Lilith myth, denoting the curse that Yahweh puts on her. And we translate this when it's prominent, that the person who has dark moon prominent does stuff not caring whether or not she is going to be cursed. So it is the curse that is taken upon ourselves. So it's not you cursing someone, but you accepting the curse, quite interestingly. But its trine to Hygeia means that now we want to rectify this, we want to let this go. And dark moon is opposite Chiron. So obviously some sort of a karmic wound is resurfacing through the curse. When I looked at the chart, especially the Sun Uranus aspects, which we're going to take a look at further, because it has some interesting other configurations and non-configurations you will see. And what I saw here, what my premonition was, or my feeling was, that there may occur some sort of coup. And I'm not thinking of Putin, although it could be with this Victory Day parade and everything, if they have a parade. I'm going to watch the news. It's going to be tomorrow, but also the maybe Zelensky, maybe Biden. If you look at the American press, they are starting to back out of loving him, really, and they are now talking about the fact that he may not survive his son's issues. Let's put it this way. I don't know. I'm not a seer. I'm just an astrologer. But this chart kind of suggests some sort of coup or some sort of disruption, for sure. We will watch the news, and there is a need for actually not just a need, but the desire, you will see, because here are the transcendental objects. Because Hygeia is on Eros, and Eros is creation through desire, and it simply signifies the fact that we desire peace, we desire sacred spaces, we desire health, but it's squared by the Sun-Uranus conjunction. So, and this is a fixed square, so, it's not going to happen anywhere soon. On Chiron, you have Atropos and Apophis. These were there in the coronation chart as well, which I posted 4 days ago. And yes, thank you very much. A couple of you noted that the crown itself was put on King Charles III's head at noon, or 2 minutes past noon. So finally they managed to actually catch the moment. But of course there are zones, time zones, so it's not the true midterm, because actually in now you have even in England there's summer saving time or light saving, whatever. So it's really truly it was 11 a.m. 11:02 a.m. But anyhow, thank you for letting me know. And then you have Nodus, Nodus 2, which is the delta star of Draco, and on the Sun you have Tisiphone. Tisiphone is the goddess of revenge, interestingly, and Ruha, which is Delta Cassiopeia. We haven't looked at this star yet. It is the knee of Cassiopeia, and of course Cassiopeia is the vain and wicked queen whose wickedness and vanity actually almost destroys her whole kingdom and her daughter. So, and the knee, of course, is linked to either bending the knee, whether you are actually able to bend the knee, or whether you have enough pride to save yourself. So it's a double meaning. It has a double meaning. We have a talent triangle. The talent triangle, or any other configuration that we linked to talent, is made up by the aspects of the quintile series. Here we have a tridecile between Sun, Uranus, and Pluto, retrograde Pluto, which is barely in Aquarius. It's going to go back into Capricorn soon. And the tridecile denotes a talent that is manifesting through altered states of consciousness. all aspects, all four main aspects of the quintile series denote various talents and ingenuousness. But there's a problem with them because they don't actually carry any energy. So the talent is there, but it may or may not manifest. Now, if you have a triangle with them or any other configuration like a 5-pointed star, then they usually manifest. They are able to manifest. And there's also a Saturn Pluto decile and also a Saturn Sun Uranus quintile. So Saturn, which is reality and burdens and baggages, and Pluto, which is transformation. Of course, these are the two death planets linked to death, and their decile a little bit mutes this death energy, but it's still there. We will see. Okay, if we go further, then we get a sliver. What is a sliver? It is a configuration when things don't get closed, and it occurs when you have different aspects belonging to different aspect families, which cannot close into a single configuration. And this is occurring now to the Sun-Uranus conjunction. And it may be important whenever you are trying to find a configuration and you can't, but you want to understand how someone's sun or moon or chart ruler works, to simply see what aspects go there. And this is what occurs here. I left the talent triangle in the picture, and there's a septile from Neptune, and septiles are transcendental and mystical aspects. They are 1/7 of the circle, so it's actually 51 degrees 27 minutes of an arc. So it's it's not a full number. It's something that you won't see in the chart. It remains hidden unless you have a software where you actually can put it in. And then the Chiron Uranus and Chiron Sun semi-sextile also is trying to lift up the whole thing. So that's a sliver when you have different aspects pointing to one chart point or planet or asteroid. Anyhow, if we add Venus to the picture, and I still put in Hygeia as well, just to see that, yes, there's a square between Hygeia and the Sun Uranus. If we put Venus in there, which just barely went into Cancer, it left Gemini and went into Cancer. You may remember that during the coronation, it was still at the end of Gemini. And Judy Hall called Venus-Pluto aspects the emotional black hole. Whenever you see this, what happens is that the native fears that there will never be enough love. And because Venus-Pluto is also a sexual aspect, what occurs many times that the people who have a Venus-Pluto connection enter into casual sex much easier, because they hope that by getting closer physically, they will be able to kind of fill this emotional hole. And of course, it's never the case, especially today when people don't make love, they just fornicate. Excuse my language. Simply, it's no longer giving pleasure to the other, it's self-gratification. The faster, the better. And so, I don't know. I'm glad I'm old. It's no longer my problem. Anyway, so that's the Venus-Pluto quincunx. And here are the transcendental objects. On Pluto, you have Aureus, mitigated punishment, and Tarazed, which I'm not going to list here because 2 days ago, I in the coronation video, you have Tarazed already delineated there. On Venus, you have Bienor, and Bienor is a centaur among some of the centaurs. There are a few centaurs denoting the fact that, yes, I know I'm half human and half animal, but I want to elevate myself. I want to better myself. So whenever you see Bienor, it denotes someone who wants to somehow rise above his or her circumstances, his lot, so to speak. When I want to better myself, when I want to have a better choice, a better life, or better circumstances. And of course, Aureus is what's happening throughout the world, and the powers that we think that they are untouchable, that they will get away with murder, that they will get away with everything. That and that's what you see in Europe. That's what you see in the officials of the EU. That is what you see in Biden's situation, especially Hunter Biden. Anyhow, on the Sun Uranus, you have Tisiphone, the goddess of revenge and Ruha. We saw that. And on Chiron, you have Atropos and Apophis. Again, Apophis is the snake that is, or the dragon, both could be it. Usually it is depicted as a snake who is swallowing the sun. And Atropos is the third of the fates who is cutting the life thread. So two not very nice asteroids, which were in the coronation chart as well. On Neptune, you have Shiva and Lucifer. This Shiva is not the Trimurti. It is the Slavonic love goddess. And Lucifer, of course, is the light bringer. So we might actually glean something. We can glean at something. We can uncover something. Something gets light through Neptune, through the fog. On Saturn, you have Deneb, Adige, and Gong. Again, something that I spoke about many times in the past couple of days and even weeks. There is a video on Gong, on the Saturn Gong conjunction. You can watch it. And on Deneb, Adige, well, it's the alpha star of the sun. So that is the space-time moment. And there's a bonus because on the 11th of May at 2:44 GMT, which is 3:44 London, 4:44 Budapest, the two asteroids, Amor and Psyche, are making a trine. And so these are the two lovebirds, okay? If you don't know the story, you can Google it. It's a very nice story. It kind of shows the power of love, which we need. We badly need the power of love, believe me. And Amor and Psyche are making a trine, a water trine, an emotional water trine. But Psyche is also opposite the Sun-Uranus conjunction, which is still very tight. We are 1.5 days after the exact conjunction. So we get this dissolved opposition energy here. And if you want to learn how different two charts at very, very similar dates could be, just go back to the beginning of the of this video and just match that the Victory Day chart with this chart, which is 1.5 days later. It's simply the hemisphere emphasis that makes them so different, because everything else is there. Well, the only difference is that the moon has reached Pluto and actually entered Aquarius, and the other one didn't have this feature. Okay, so that is the Victory Day energy and the Sun-Uranus conjunction. Thank you for watching, and bye-bye.